From classics like strawberry and brown sugar cinnamon to new additions like s'mores, wild berry, and frosted confetti cupcake, we decided to try as many flavors of Pop-Tarts as we could fit in our pantry, and we've compiled a list ranked from worst to best just for you. A chocolate chip Pop-Tart seems like it would be absolutely delicious, especially when it comes straight out of a toaster. Just like a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie, right? Absolutely wrong. This Pop-Tart has chocolate chips baked into the pastry, with a little squiggle of chocolate frosting on top. It sounds like the perfect flavor, but once you bite into it, you're longing for so much more. The filling is good, but the outer pastry shell has a very odd flavor, almost a bit chemical. The chocolate chip Pop-Tarts are also softer than the other varieties. Perhaps if this Pop-Tart had more than just a little squiggle of frosting, it could mask the chemical taste. For those people who have an Oreo addiction, or perhaps an obsession with cookies and cream ice cream, this may seem like the most appealing flavor of them all. It sounds like a promising idea, but for your own sake, think again. This flavor really doesn't taste anything like cookies and cream, and honestly, it just tastes fake. Essentially, it's a big smack of chocolate in the face, which would be great if it tasted like real chocolate. It has a strong aftertaste that makes you wonder if there's actually any real chocolate in the pastry. The cream inside the pastry is a sweet vanilla filling, but there's not nearly enough filling to balance out the strange flavor of the chocolate. It's topped with a white frosting and sprinkled with cookie crumbles, but even cookie crumbles aren't going to mask that terrible cocoa flavor. It's fair to wonder why in the world this product exists, but apparently there are people in this world who eat unfrosted Pop-Tarts. For some people, it's all about what's inside, but we're not sold on it. When Pop-Tarts launched in 1963, they didn't have any frosting. It took a few years to perfect the recipe and figure out a way to make pastries that wouldn't catch fire while in the toaster. In the meantime, people were eating these lackluster options. This variety is still packed with the strawberry-flavored filling used in the frosted version, but the pastry crust is a bit thicker for the sake of uniformity. These are good, but only if you're okay with boring. Wild berry is a funny product for Pop-Tarts. On one hand, sure, its bright purple frosting with the crazy bright blue squiggle on top is a little wild and fun, but there's certainly nothing wild about its flavor.
Well, I was going to say wild, but delicious is good.
As you break into the pastry, a deep red-colored filling appears, and you think you've won the flavor jackpot, but not so fast. If you dig a little deeper into the ingredients list for this flavor, it all makes a bit more sense. There's actually only one type of berry included in the filling – strawberry. There are dried strawberries, along with dried apples and dried pears, so what exactly is making this berry flavor so wild? Last time we checked, apples and pears were not berries, and this one could definitely use some more berry flavor. This flavor made a brief appearance on shelves in 2005, but returned in 2018, and this time it looks like it's here to stay. If this were a competition for the cutest Pop-Tarts on the market, this would absolutely take the cake and the ice cream. The strawberry milkshake flavor is an adorable pink pastel Pop-Tart with rainbow sprinkles. It's too bad it doesn't taste as great as it looks. As you break into the pastry, you find a pink pastel goo. It's a pretty malty flavor, but a little too sweet and a little too fake to rank it any higher on this list. It's kinda like that strawberry milk you thought would be a good idea to try as a kid. Decent, but not great. However, it does get better if you put these in the freezer and try them cold. At least that way you can pretend you're having a real milkshake. First things first, there really should be some discussion about the topping on these Pop-Tarts. Why Kellogg's felt the need to add little white specks that look a bit like salt on top is a mystery. These specks add no pop of color and no flavor, which could really help this Pop-Tart to rise to a higher level. The chocolate fudge Pop-Tart is definitely a bomb of chocolate flavor, which makes these taste sort of okay, but there's something slightly off. It has the same fake chocolate flavor as the cookies and cream variety, but luckily, the filling offers some saving grace. The filling has a deep chocolate flavor, which makes it edible, and would easily help to curb a chocolate fix in a pinch. That said, it really tastes nothing like fudge. If there was more filling, or it was a bit creamier, this flavor would be far better. This Pop-Tarts flavor left shelves in 2017, but it came back in summer 2019 thanks to all of the Pop-Tarts fans who requested its return. That's good, because it's one of Pop-Tarts' best takes on a dessert-like snack. Chances are we've all tried that standard vanilla cake topped with vanilla buttercream and confetti sprinkles, otherwise known as Confetti. It's an absolute classic, and Pop-Tarts decided to jump on the nostalgic treat bandwagon with this flavor. The top of the pastry is covered in white frosting with sprinkles, and it certainly smells just like a grocery store cake or cupcake. What's disappointing is what's inside. The filling is barely noticeable and frankly pretty plain. It seems as though Pop-Tarts decided to use the same frosting from the top of the pastry for the filling, rather than the gooey filling we're used to. Overall, it's a decent sweet snack if you've got a sugary cake craving. But there's definitely room for improvement. Those of you who hate pumpkin spice season may see this and run. Give the oversaturation of pumpkin spice everything in the fall, that's fair. But Pop-Tart's addition to the season is still worth a try. Unlike most pumpkin items we see in the fall, these aren't too pumpkin-y, which is a nice change. They're also not overly sweet like many other pumpkin-flavored products. The standard pastry crust is filled with a pumpkin filling, which has a warm holiday flavor closely resembling actual pumpkin pie. It's also packed with cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and cloves to round out the classic pumpkin spice flavors we all know. It's maybe not a flavor you would want to have year-round, but it's definitely a solid option for the fall. This flavor features yet another chocolate crust, but this version is actually better than other chocolatey Pop-Tart options.
What kind of topping would you like?
Hot fudge?
Sounds good. Fudge it up.
The hot fudge sundae flavor is described on the Pop-Tarts website as a chompable sundae, but honestly, this tastes nothing like its namesake. The chocolate pastry is topped with a white frosting, a swirl of fudge frosting, and bright rainbow sundae sprinkles. It definitely welcomes you and tricks you into thinking you're getting something just like a sundae, and overall, it's still a decent flavor. The pastry is filled with a gooey vanilla concoction, which really doesn't compare to vanilla ice cream, but it pairs well enough with the chocolate pastry to make it taste good. Overall, it's a good option for an afternoon snack to handle your sweet tooth. And if you pop it in the toaster, the hot fudge flavor comes out more when it's warmed up. If you consider eating this flavor, don't think that you're getting anything remotely like a Reese's peanut butter cup. Just because it combines a few of the best flavors on the planet doesn't mean it's quite the same. That's not to say this isn't delicious in its own right, though. The flavor starts with a chocolate crust, which on its own is pretty bland, but paired with the real peanut butter filling you find once you take a bite, it's pretty darn good. It's not as strong of a peanut butter flavor as it could be, and it might be better with a bit more, but it seems like Pop-Tarts did that on purpose. Overall, a welcome addition to the Pop-Tarts family. But like most chocolate and peanut butter flavored treats, more peanut butter is always better. The Cinnamon Roll Pop-Tart debuted in 2015 as a limited edition option, but it's still available because people can't seem to get enough of it. Opening a package of this flavor is truly an experience in itself. The smell hits you in the face like a bakery full of cinnamon rolls fresh from the oven. Cinnamon Roll Pop-Tarts use a traditional pastry, which lends itself perfectly to this flavor. Topped with a squiggle of frosting. The frosting doesn't really taste like what's on a traditional cinnamon roll, but that doesn't detract from it too much. The top of the pastry looks like a buttery cinnamon mix was added before baking, giving it the same gooey flavor of a classic cinnamon roll. The filling has a delicious, strong cinnamon flavor, which seems a bit more powerful than the flavor of the brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart. Does it actually taste like a cinnamon roll? No, but it's pretty darn close, and it's an absolutely respectable breakfast option. If you've never tried a brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart, you're missing out. Of all the non-fruit flavored options, this is absolutely one of the best. Plus, it's one of the originals, so obviously they came up with something good years ago and decided to stick with it. The classic pastry is paired with a delicious cinnamon filling, which isn't overpowering, but packs a warm, cozy flavor. The top is completely covered in brown frosting, which in theory is the brown sugar portion of the name. There's actually no mention of brown sugar on the ingredients label whatsoever, but honestly, we don't really care. What it all boils down to is that it's extremely delicious and the perfect way to start your day on the run. The S'mores Pop-Tarts are maybe one of the best things Kellogg's could have possibly come up with when they started dabbling in new flavors and pastry possibilities for the brand. This flavor uses a graham cracker base mixed with a bit of molasses, rather than the typical butter pastry, and it is so darn good. The Pop-Tart is filled with a blend of chocolate and marshmallow filling, so you get all of the flavors of classic s'mores mixed together. Plus, it's striped, so you get all three flavors in every single bite. The chocolate is well balanced, and the marshmallow flavor isn't too overpowering or sweet, which leaves plenty of room for the flavor of the crust to come through. It's one of those flavors that reminds us all of childhood, camping, summertime, and all things cozy and delicious. Most people either love fresh blueberries and blueberry flavor or absolutely hate it. If you happen to be a blueberry lover, this is the perfect flavor for you. Blueberry was one of the original Pop-Tarts flavors, so it's had time to age to perfection and grow in popularity along the way. The pastry is covered in a white frosting with a fun mixture of little crystal sprinkles and lively colors to match its delicious flavor. Once you take a bite, the blueberry flavor smacks you in the face, which in this case is a good thing. The powerful blueberry flavor pairs really well with the pastry and the frosting. The filling is made with dried blueberries, but it also uses dried grapes and apples, which seems to balance out the flavors. It's definitely a solid recipe because this is absolutely one of the best Pop-Tarts on the market. Strawberry Pop-Tarts are perhaps the most iconic flavor of them all, in part because they're everywhere. There are several box sizes, even massive value packs, but there are also individually wrapped sizes at gas stations and vending machines. That makes them one of the most accessible Pop-Tarts flavors. And with good reason. One of the original 4 Pop-Tarts flavors, strawberry has stood its ground for decades. It's sweet, it's tart, and it's just about perfect in every way. The original pastry is topped with white frosting, with a sprinkle of bright-colored crystals. The filling is made up of dried strawberries, but it also incorporates dried apples and pears for a bit of a balance. It's the classic go-to flavor and will continue to live on for decades. While strawberry Pop-Tarts are good, cherry Pop-Tarts are great. We know that's controversial and putting cherry at the top of the list will upset a few Pop-Tarts fans, but we're holding firm. It's here, and it's here to stay. The cherry Pop-Tart is a cute pink pastry with the most delicious cherry filling and sparkly red sprinkles on top of the frosting. It just screams cherry. The recipe uses dried cherries for its flavor as well as dried apples, creating an ideal balance of fruit flavors. The cherry Pop-Tarts also aren't overly sweet like some of the other flavors. They're balanced nicely with a bit of tartness, most likely thanks to those apples. It's definitely the most solid flavor of the bunch, and probably the flavor you could easily eat multiple packages of without getting sick. You know, if you wanted to.
Crazy good!
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about your favorite snack foods are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.